how's it going, everybody? Episode 8, the Eric and Brad Show. We are back again for the 8th time. You can email us, ericandbradshow@gmail.com, ericandbradshow@gmail.com. How's it going, man?
Fantastic, man. World's burning down. Well,
yeah, it is.
What? Am I coming in hot?
Yeah, you're just fantastic.
World's burning down. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm doing good. Fucking. So right, just get right to it. I try not to be like super political on this. You know what I mean? I don't. You know what I mean? No. It's not. I'm not going to. I'm just saying that as like a disclaimer. Like, I know a lot of my viewpoints would piss people off, and especially like now with what's going on. This is just too much. Way too much going on right now, and too many opinions, and I didn't think. I've been saying for a while. I've been saying for a few years, if Trump wins re-election, this is what would happen. So now that this is already happening, Trump hasn't even. I don't even know. This is crazy. Yeah. I know it has nothing to do with Trump, but it kind of has something to do with Trump. But
well, it's a bad look on him. This is way worse than any of the the appearance of that. This is way worse than that.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. I don't even want to. I really don't want to get into it. But but what I'm getting at is, yeah. Last week, like right after we did the podcast, I couldn't take it anymore, and just deleted the Facebook app off my phone. I couldn't do it anymore. I can't look at I can't. I was getting mad. I wrote out. I wrote out a comment on someone's post. And then it just really hit me, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? I'm mad now. I'm upset. And this post I'm writing out is just going to cause more anger from both parties. Nothing's going to change. I'm mad. She's mad. Everyone's mad. I don't want to live like this. Just fuck this app. I'm done with this app. I've turned off the TV. I will not watch news. I don't watch news anyways. Now I'm just all TikTok. TikTok's the only source of social media that I'm getting anything from. And even it's getting a little political, but it's a lot better than all the, than at least Facebook. Yeah,
you can't, and you don't even post the episode of the show on your Facebook because you don't have the app.
I will do some promotional stuff because I didn't delete my account. I just don't want to check it anymore.
So I feel like this past week, every single fucking post on Facebook was just trying to bait me. It was just baiting me, as in come on, comment, get involved in the fight. And a couple of times I did. A few times I fucking going back and forth, and it's just craziness. I hate it so much. We just need to get off of it.
Dude, I'm telling you,
fucking bad.
It's been the best week of my life not checking it. I have been happier. I legitimately have been 20% happier by getting rid of that app and stopping checking.
I could use 20% because today I was on the edge. I was on the fucking edge big time. It was bad.
Yeah, our little pre-show meeting we had, you looked a little grumpy. What's going on?
It's and speaking of TikTok, I saw a TikTok last night while I was in bed. The dog was asleep and I woke him up. Because it was this guy, it was security cam footage of this guy's front porch, and he was walking up his front porch with his arms full of food that he just bought and a 6-pack of beer, and he trips on the steps on his front porch and just falls into the food, and the beer goes everywhere and just smashes, and he picks up a beer and just throws it as hard as he can at his house, and it just says this doesn't happen on a good day. And I'm like, that is so fucking right. You're so fucking right. It doesn't happen on a good day. That only happens on a day after 100 other things went wrong. Then that happens. It never happens on a good day. And
that's true.
Basically, that 7-second TikTok basically was my whole day today because it was just one thing after another. And I'm just fuck. Oh my God. It was everything was just breaking down. And then in the moment of everything breaking down, our listener Chris sends me a text and he's like, what's the name of that internet adapter thing that you talked about on the show here? And I was like, power line adapter. So then I was going to Amazon on my phone trying to get a link of the thing, and fucking like Amazon wouldn't load. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna smash my phone into the ground and just drive south and just be like, fuck it, fuck all of it. Oh my god, it was ridiculous.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
It's all right.
Hey,
And it was just
buddy.
high winds today. Like extremely high winds. So whenever you're walking around outside, it's just like you can't even walk straight, and it's just the wind. I'm like, fucking just turn it off. I'm just yelling at the wind. Like I could not be like a sailor on a ship back in the day, because I would be so pissed off at the weather all the time. Either it's like a storm or whatever. It's just, I hate fucking weather. I'm like, just fucking turn it off. So my new thought was, for that new small town we're gonna start up in the woods or whatever.
Okay.
Fuck the woods. No more woods and rivers and all that nonsense. We just need to find a place on the whole planet. What is the place that has the most perfect weather year round? Absolute perfect.
Definitely populated.
Well, we'll find a place that's not
It's
populated.
definitely popular. The only places that aren't populated are shitty places. You know what I mean? Either
God
desert,
damn it.
deep forest, you know, super snowy and cold. If it's
Yeah.
perfect, you know, Hawaii ain't empty. You know what I mean? Bahamas ain't fucking empty.
Yeah, it was a rough one. It was fucking so stupid. And all I could think about was the TikTok that I just watched 12 hours before. I'm like, that is so right. Because it's like you run in, and that happens to me. You go weeks without anything bad, like that bad, you know? And then all of a sudden, one day, it's just boom, 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 boom. And you're like, this wouldn't have happened 2 days ago. It's only all going to come at one fucking time. It's so ridiculous. It must be a simulation of some sorts.
I'm sorry, buddy. That sucks. You sound pretty grumpy. My day's been going pretty good. You know.
Yeah, I was on the edge.
I'm off that bridge, so it's gonna take a lot more
yeah.
to fucking send me over the edge. I'm pretty happy.
Somehow I'm still on the bridge.
So
Oh,
go ahead.
can I just cover something really quickly, please?
Okay, yeah, throw it at me.
So just for people listening, okay, so 8 episodes, we're 8 episodes in. Okay, let's just do this 8 episodes in. So on iTunes, you can leave a review for the show. So there's 5 stars. You can just click one of the 5 stars, preferably 5. If you're not going to do 5, maybe just don't do it. And you can write a review. Maybe you can write a review too. I think we have 4 reviews on there, and I think that anybody who has an Apple phone has an Apple ID, which means you have access to Apple Podcasts, and as long as you're signed in your Apple ID, you can rate shows. And I'm just saying this because that helps tremendously. Like, that helps so much. In my experience with podcasts before, those ratings on iTunes help, like, you can't imagine how much they help. They help a lot. So if people could just do that, that would be really, really awesome. That would
be awesome.
Just want to put that out there. If there's anything you could just do right now, I say it would be to just hit that 5-star on iTunes.
Sweet. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Rock and roll. You know, we've talked about this, and now I want to, come at you with this. I love T-Swift. T-Swift is my jam. I'm super into it. I know it is a very unpopular opinion.
Are you talking about Taylor Swift?
Duh. Fucking. Okay. I will say this whole new thing T-Swift has got going on is a little weird. How she's been like kind of in the headlines a little bit with political activism shit, which
Yeah.
I don't really care about, but I also, a lot of cases, I don't really want to hear musicians, their political leanings. It's just like, shut up, do your music. That's what you're good at. Stop. So
Yeah.
a little irritation there, but either way, I think she's incredible. I kind of like that poppy, feel-good music, like Katy Perry Roar. That's infectious. That is an infectious song. Like you can't listen to it and deny that it's not a good song. You may hate the genre, but it's like you may hate country music, but if The Devil Went Down to Georgia comes on, it's like, yeah, it's a good song. Like it's a
Well,
decent
yeah.
song. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
you get what you get what I'm saying there. You can't. It's not fingernails on a chalkboard. I think a lot of guys
Mm.
refuse to admit that it's good music because it makes them gay. Is like what I think a lot of percentage of what it boils down to. They would never admit they like that style of music or that it's a good song because
Hmm.
you're gay if you think that. You know what I mean? We need to listen to Five Finger Death Punch and fucking blah 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 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. It's my opinion. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. What are your thoughts on T Swift?
Man, I have a lot, and it's really, really hard to put them into words because I try to. I don't want to just bully. It's really hard to find the point where I. So the early stuff is good, I think.
Yeah, and see, I
The
disagree
early
with that.
the early stuff is more it has more believability. The pop stuff once she went to because I'll say the beginning stuff was country pop, I want to call it, and then
Hmm.
after that it was just strictly pop, and it's like she wanted to become Britney Spears,
Yeah,
right?
she changed her whole music style. Now the country is
And
done.
that's when I'm off the fucking boat right there
See,
because
that's when
the
I
big
jumped on. I took your spot. I jumped right
yeah,
into your
you took
spot.
my spot, you can have it. But look, it's like love song, great fucking song. You Belong With
That's
Me, good. Back to December, good. I like Shake It Off. Shake It Off is a good song. See,
shake it off, shake
that's
it
where
off.
I kind of just I'll pop on the boat just for that and then jump back off. I liked that song. That was a good song. But the rest of it is just so it's I cannot stand her. I cannot imagine if I'm sitting across from her ever in my life, like at a restaurant, I am out of there like there's a fire. I can't stand her. But
Huh.
I think a couple of those early songs were fucking good, in my opinion.
I think so. 1989. That's the album I'm all about. Which is, right after she got out of the country. It's not her most recent album. I think
No,
that album.
there was an album before that that wasn't country. Of I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That was before 1989.
Let's look up some discography shit here.
It's like, and the thing is, I think she plays the victim so much. I think during the country pop age, she was playing the victim. And then what happened was, I think it was 2009 or 2010, the Kanye West thing happened, which then the whole country went, oh my God, she's the victim. And then she just was like, boom, I'm
Wait,
already
wait,
on
wait,
that victim train. And then the country jumped onto it. We're on the
wait,
victim
whoa.
train too. And then she
What
just went
happened?
full victim.
What
when
what happened?
Kanye went on the stage at the VMAs and grabbed the mic and said, "Hang on, Taylor, I'm gonna let you finish." But Beyonce had the greatest video of all time when she won an award for Music Video of the Year.
And people were like, "That's sex." I kind of remember this, but
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh my God, how could he do that to her? Like a young girl living out her like she finally got an award for a video or
was
whatever." And
she
then he's
pissed?
just, I don't remember.
This was the red one, right? Bad
Well, the
Blood. Is
Kanye
that what
thing
you're
was
talking about?
yeah, the Kanye
That's the
thing was like 09 010. That I Knew You Were Trouble song was like 2012, 2013. That's when she went pop with that Red album.
Okay, let's
And then
see.
1989 came
She has
after that.
seven. She has 7 studio albums. Just fucking list them. Okay.
Wow.
Why are they doing that? Why are they doing this to me?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
so
Okay. So they have title Taylor Swift. That must be like singles or something like that. So Fearless. I believe that's the
mhm,
latest one. No. What the fuck?
dude, you could
Oh
have
no
had
no
me
no.
look it up.
That's that. I'm going the opposite way. That's a fucking. That's a. That must be a country album. That's why that's not familiar. So Lover is the latest one. That's August 23rd, 2019. Reputation is the one before that, and then 1989. 1989 is the one I'm all about.
Mhm.
Um, does it give songs here?
Love Story was a great song.
Okay,
And then
what I'm
she goes
getting
from
at,
that. She goes from that to look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Okay,
Look
okay,
what you
okay.
just made me do. Look what
Okay,
you
totally.
just made me do.
I'm not
That's,
super.
That's
Okay. That's a new single or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally sold on her new music. But what I will say is when I kind of like dove into Taylor Swift, which would have been like 5 years ago. I put her on like Pandora one time because I'd heard a song and I was like, okay, I want to hear more songs, and then it would pop up, and I was starting to realize how many good songs were on 1989, and I was like, this is crazy. And then you get into 1989, the album, it is just banger after banger after banger, and whatever, you can hate on the music, but at the end of the day, she's just written a pretty good amount of good songs, like of number one songs, radio play quality songs, which most people have trouble even getting to that point. And then what I'll also argue is in a short amount of time on one album, she wrote pretty much a whole album of singles. And it's not just like an 8-track album. It's a full album, and almost every single song on the album is just incredible. They're all bangers. I mean, that was the one she won the video album of the year. So not only did she write that, then dude, she is no joke. And that album is no joke. To me, you can hate me all you want, one of the best albums of all time. Like, hands down. It's one of the most well-written albums of all time, and it's so underrated. She doesn't get the credit she deserves for that album. I'm not saying she's better than all the other musicians ever. I'm saying if we're just looking at albums, which to me is a big deal, she should be at the top of the list of writing a single album. And then not only that, she did it by herself, which is fucking badass. Very few bands have done good albums.
Yeah, I think that she is just corporate. She's not even pop. She's like corporate pop. She is so safe. You can't find anyone safer. Like, this is what 10-year-old girls will buy in the store because their moms allow them to, because it's so safe. Like give me an edge. Give me the smallest little fucking edge that
I hear what you're saying.
Just drop the word fuck in a song or something like that.
I totally get what you're saying. I think you're being a little over harsh on that. It's still decent to listen to. Okay, I get that, but
I like Shake It Off.
You're making it sound like, okay, it's not easy. That isn't easy to write that many singles. You can say that it's just dumb, simple music, whatever. Well, then go fucking write a whole album of it and go make yourself into one of the richest people in Hollywood. You know what I mean? You're never going to do it because what she did is an incredible accomplishment. Like, those songs are ridiculously good. It's single after single after single after single. And then so, what other bands have done that? Very few bands. Fucking, you have Green Day, you have Green Day with American Idiot, a fucking incredible album. You have the Beatles. The Beatles are a hard one because you could argue a few albums, but I'm going to say strictly Abbey Road. You have Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Fuck all their other albums, but that one is kind of a cheap album because it's not really a full album, except some of the songs are just really long.
Well, not fuck all their other albums, but that's the album people go to when you want to say every song.
I just do not like all their other albums are not. This is the argument I'm making with Taylor Swift, and I'll make with all the other bands. None of the other albums are done properly. They're not, and maybe Taylor's. There's different reasons I like all the other albums, like Green Day, American Idiot. They accomplished something by writing. There's kind of a theme to the album, and then they tied it all together. It, to me, was brilliant.
Right.
Taylor Swift didn't do that with that album, but she did release an album of nothing but singles, which, fuck that, no one can do that. Then you could kind of...
Yeah, it's not a cohesive album, though.
Yes, yes. Whereas all the other albums...
Dark Side of the Moon.
And then Abbey Road, those are kind of... But you could argue... Okay, but then there's a side argument to even those albums, is their singles on those albums were kind of cherry-picked from another place and thrown into the album just to give them a radio play song.
Yeah.
Whereas Taylor Swift, you literally cherry-pick any song off of it and throw it on the radio. Fucking American Idiot, you only have American Idiot. Well, Boulevard of Broken Dreams caught, but then with, like, Dark Side of the Moon. You really only have money, which that song doesn't fit in the album. It really doesn't. It kind of like if you just close your eyes and listen to that album, it comes out of left field. It's like this doesn't really match. Like
no, that was for radio.
Yes, and then same with Abbey Road. You got the first song, Come Together. You know, it's like you got that. And then the rest of the album, which I'm not bitching. I fucking love it. But I will say there is something to be said about if you want to rate the best albums of all time, about just singles, just throwing singles out. And there's probably a lot. And then you had brought up, when we talked about this before, you'd brought up Thriller. I can't remember. I can't remember the list of songs on Thriller. But I'm sure Michael Jackson.
Well, I know people go to that when they say this is an album full of singles, hits.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
And I wouldn't, you can't argue with MJ.
Right.
MJ has, I'm not exactly sure his albums the way they play out. I can't, I don't think I've ever actually sat down and listened to an MJ album start to finish before. I probably should, but
dude,
he does
Taylor
have.
Swift. It's not like the great minds of the world are sitting around at the end of the day with like a scotch in a dark room. Let's put a record on. Let's put on 1989. Oh my God, this is so deep. This really just takes me to the darkest places of time where I can really just sit. Fuck that.
Okay, totally.
She's just such a victim. I think she plays the victim so much, and then the Kanye West thing just propelled it to like light speed, and people are just like, oh my God, she's doing it. Like she wins 10 Grammys and people are just like, oh, she won a Grammy. Like if she could do it, we could do it. Like she's normal like us. Because she looks like a lanky, awkward 15-year-old boy. And see, that's when I get into more like bully mode stuff. It's like people are just like, oh, she's doing it. She can do it. She can do it.
Maybe
if she could do it, anybody.
And maybe I just defend her so much because I think she's gorgeous. I think she's banging hot. I love Taylor Swift. She is right up my alley.
And I wrote down 6 female pop stars that I think are better today.
Whoa. Okay.
Okay, Rihanna, Demi, Gaga, Halsey, Billie, and Miley. All better than Taylor Swift. Give me an edge. Just say like, and then we fucked in the back seat. Just like say that, or just say like, show a picture of you doing cocaine or smoking weed. Give me just a slight little tiny
you don't
edge.
Have to. Okay, whatever. I get what you're saying. I just disagree. I disagree with that list you made. I'm not saying any. Some of those I don't even know. Demi Lovato? Is that who you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even list a song. I have no idea what any of her songs are.
It's okay.
Gaga, maybe, but still, I would argue she didn't put an album out that is that one. What was the one with what album is that? Or like it was her debut album, right? The one that just fucking caught on fire. The poker face. Hey.
Yeah. The talent.
By the time you get
Taylor
through
Swift
it, there's
album.
only like 4 songs on there, and the rest is garbage. Fucking, she is super talented. I've watched Lady Gaga do some like, old YouTube videos of like her and her old band. They did like a old Zeppelin song when she was super young, playing at a bar, and she's very talented.
There was I forget what I was watching it on. There was her performing with Metallica. And it was her and Metallica practicing before the performance, and then you saw the performance, and you're just like, "Holy fuck!"
Boom! I just love T Swift. Her music comes on, and it makes me happy, and I just think it would make other people happy if they just set their ego off at the door and just enjoyed it a little bit. When Katy Perry sings "Roar," if you don't enjoy, if you don't. Whoa, bop, 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 then I don't think you have a soul. Like any little kid hears that's not brainwashed yet, and it's just this pure little person. They hear Roar, and they're just like, this song rocks. And it's like, yeah, because it does rock. You just like want to hear Metallica. The little kid hears Metallica, and unless you like push him into it, he's like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we listening to this?
Yeah. I need an edge, like a hardcore one too. That's just what I need. But Taylor Swift has a couple good songs. I won't deny it. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
It's okay that you like it.
let's take a break real quick and get our guest in here. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Rock and roll. Boom. Well, welcome back, guys. We have Robert Gilbert here with us. This is one of my really good friends. This is actually my guitar player or bass player, however you want to look at it. Magic expert.
I don't know about that.
Which is kind of why we're having him on a little bit. Not that we're like super interested in magic, but just have some questions in magic. So yeah.
Are you referring to Magic the Gathering?
Yes.
No, cock magic.
And cock magic, yeah.
No, Magic the Gathering, sorry.
Yeah.
Boom, so how you doing, Rob?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little slow today because went down to the local bar and did a little drinking last night.
Oh, dirty. Oh. Dirty dog.
Sometimes.
They're all back open. How's it down at
it's-
the really newly reopened bars?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of weird. People are not doing any kind of social distancing, especially after a few drinks. Like, oh, missed you, man.
Right.
Hugs and everything. Although last night it got kind of weird because there's a lot of protesters out walking up and down Murray Road and right by this bar. Oh, yeah. Like, I saw a good steady stream for over a half an hour of...
Oh, whoa.
They're all kids.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there was over 1,000 people that
walked
by there. Oh, yeah, that walked by there in the course of the evening. Over about an hour.
For people that are listening, obviously most people are going to have zero idea what we're talking about, but this isn't downtown at all. This is like in the suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
This is well away from downtown Portland. It's on the freeway, but it's weird. It's really weird that you would see so many. I wouldn't have thought that. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a bunch of privileged kids, getting out there. I'm trying to talk to people about that last night, and it's a bunch of old fogies, hanging out there. Oh, you fucking kids! What are you doing? Your ass is home, and I was like, if I was somewhere in my late teens through 20s, I would have been out there doing that too, especially just after you've been sequestered for 4 months, all of a sudden here's a chance to get out and do something,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, fuck, of course they're going to get out there and, whatever.
Yeah.
Raising your signs, doing whatever. And all these old guys are bitching about them. Like, they're not.
I'm sure. Fucking for also people who don't know, this bar is, I wouldn't call it it's a dive bar for sure, but it's kind of like a popular dive bar. Like, it does get packed there. But if you go, it does have the day crowd, that type of bar. That's just a bunch of old people, hanging out.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So, a few questions right off the bat is how, as a magic guru or whatever you are, how has the quarantine affected the magic? I should say there is some things I know about Rob that obviously you don't know, Brad, and anyone listening wouldn't know, is that he plays a lot of magic. He meets up all the time. It's a once a week thing usually, and usually once a week he does a tournament. Like, he'll go into these places and do tournaments and shit like that. So how has the world of magic been affected, and how many? Yeah, like. What's the word on the streets? What's going down? What's some insight?
The funny thing is, of course, the name of the game is The Gathering, which, can't do any gathering. So, yeah, none of those tournaments have been happening. Some people have been doing them online where you can just, have your camera on your cards and play that way. And I never even did that. Of course, there's Magic Arena that you can play the online game, and that's where everybody's gone. But now it's started up again. Actually, this last weekend was the first tournaments that any of the local shops around here have been having. And I didn't make it to it this weekend. I'm, just staying away for a little bit. But the thing is, like right here, if you can see in my background here, I've got my table here and thousands of Magic cards there. And I have people come over here, even through the quarantine, a few people at a time. But I've had so many people hitting me up all the time. Like, dude, yeah, it's like I've got the speakeasy over here. Like, dude,
Right.
what are you doing tonight? Can we play some Magic? And it's like, well, let me schedule you in
you got
here.
some Magic cards?
Yeah. I can schedule you in at Thursday between 7 o'clock and 9. We can play, It's like, I should have just started up a shop here through the whole thing and charge people.
So
But,
is
yeah.
it only cards, or is there a digital game as well?
No, there is the digital one. That's called Arena, which it's
Gotcha.
And when
And
did
it
that
has all
come
the-
out? That's like a newer thing, right?
Yeah, it's been out about 2 years now, and
it's
there's. Go ahead.
It's relatively popular, isn't it?
Oh yeah, worldwide. There was an older version of it that's been around for years and years that you can play online, but it didn't have any animations or anything. It was just it looked like fake cards, and the newer one, Arena, has all kinds of animations for when you do spells, things happen, and it's a little more interesting.
I guess
but-
I haven't even watched you play a game yet. I've just like seen it on pause. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was just a card being flipped down and then a card being flipped down. That's all it was.
Yeah, but he's saying
Yeah.
the game has like animations and stuff that happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have
Yeah.
cards on there, but
Right.
it's a bunch of animations too, which makes it a little more interesting. But
So obviously some cards are like really valuable, right?
oh yeah.
So I was thinking yesterday. I was thinking there's collectors of cards and then there's players. So are the players also collectors, and are the collectors also players, or is it just the people that strictly collect? You know what I mean?
Oh sure. Yeah. Well, there's both. I mean, typically, if you're a player, you're a collector, and
Right.
there's some people that are collectors. Like, I don't know that guy's name. The guy that he bought out all the
You're talking the Oxycontin guy?
yeah.
No. Or was it the guy that jacked the prices up on insulin?
Yes, that's the guy. Yeah.
Oh,
That guy-
Yeah.
That guy saw the value in Magic cards and already, is a millionaire, and was like, oh, I'm going to buy a shit ton of these Magic cards, even though he doesn't play at all, just
Right.
for the investment, And it really is. It's a lucrative investment for.
Didn't he end up like buying out a certain card? Or
Yeah,
something like that?
he did some jackhole kind of shit, but yeah.
So all players are probably collectors, but then there are some collectors that don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the most expensive card?
It's still the Black Lotus. It's about
How much money?
How much money?
about 200,000
Jeez.
for a card. Yeah.
How many are there?
I don't know. In circulation, not a shit ton, but I'm sure over 1,000 of them.
That's a first generation card, right?
Yeah.
Which
And
is
if
like
they're in good shape.
1997 or something like that.
96. Yeah.
That's when they started.
That's kind of
Magic.
crazy because it's like if I had it, I would sell it. But I bet you there's people that have it that want to wait till they can like use it in a game and like shock people.
Oh, I'll tell you. Like I've got this friend of mine, Tiny. He has 3 of those Black Lotus. He's got.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and he's got 2 of them in his safe deposit box, right? But he's got
Sure.
one that he carries around with him, and he's brought it over to my house a few times. And I told him,
God.
and not just that card, what he's carrying around in his backpack is a shit ton of money. I mean, yeah. And
Damn.
I've told him, don't bring that shit to my house anymore, because we've had some close calls. Somebody spills some water on that card. I don't have anything that can cover that. And I said,
Right.
we can make a little proxy of it, and yeah, we know you got it. Sure.
Right.
Don't bring
That's
it over to my
crazy.
house.
What's your best card? What do you got?
Oh, shit. I don't know. Nothing. I've got a few that are worth a couple hundred. Nothing,
Are you not? You're
I've
not
got-
into it. Like you're not into it like that. That's not the cool part.
Oh,
of
I
Magic to
am.
you?
It's just that I've, in the past, I wish I hadn't sold some of the cards that I have that are worth thousands now. And, but I've at one point sold a binder of my cards and got $800 so I could pay my rent. And that was back in 2000 or whatever. But I look at that now and that same binder is worth thousands, Like, shit. Why did I sell that? But Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, you know.
So they just came out with a new, what do you call it, series or
A new set.
a new set
Yeah.
just a few weeks ago, right? A month ago?
Yeah, and they're already previewing the next set. They keep everybody
How often do they pump sets out? Is it once,
about
two a
every
year,
6
something like
months.
that?
Yeah,
Two
two
a
or
year.
three. Sometimes three.
How,
I'll try to
how
get
you
three out
liking it?
usually.
This new set?
Oh, I like it. It's got some cool new things to it. The thing is, like, I know Eric, you know how to play Magic, and you
A
remember
little
the
bit.
days
A
where
little bit.
things were kind of simpler, and it
Yeah.
was pretty straightforward. Now there's planeswalkers and all this different weird shit, and the timing of the game is weird, and
Do you know how
it's
to
so
play,
hard to
Brad?
figure it.
Have you ever played?
No.
Oh, you haven't? So back in the day, I don't know if anybody's listening that has played. Like, maybe you played 10 years ago or you did it as a kid. Now it's fucking totally different. I went over to his house and watched them play, and I've probably played at least 100 games in my life.
Wow.
Probably somewhere around there. You know, as a
Yeah.
kid, I may be wrong, maybe less than that. I'm no pro by any means, and like I know how to play the game. I'm not very good at it. I mean, I'm decent at it. But then I went over to his house, and they're not even playing the same fucking game. It's like it's like fucking. I don't even know how to make the comparison. It'd be like playing catch with your dad and then playing full on baseball. It's just like it's a
Okay.
totally different fucking thing. It's
That's
just
a good
they're
comparison.
doing all these crazy. Yeah, they're like throwing out planeswalkers, which I kind of knew what that was, but they've just added all this bullshit to the game. That's just it just blows me away.
Well, it was
I
Tyson.
can't.
You know?
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
say it was more popular like 15 years ago? Because I just say 15 because that's when I probably first heard about it. I don't know how long it's been around. Like more popular 15 years ago or more popular now? Is it gaining?
I'd say more popular now. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's worldwide, and there's kids out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year being professional Magic players. You know,
Jeez.
and it's big business, and it's owned by Hasbro now, where it used to be Wizards of the Coast, a smaller company up in Washington, but now, you know, Hasbro's taken it over, so they have to come up with newer and crazier ideas every time. And of course, you've got all your haters out there that are like, what's this? You know.
Yeah.
When
is
did
bullshit.
Hasbro take it over?
Oh, I don't know. About 10 years ago?
Oh,
Like
okay.
that? They've had it for a while. But,
Do you think they fucked anything up, or do you think they're doing it good?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure with them it'd all be about sales. So, you know, when they're trying to come up with newer ideas, I'm sure they're trying to aim it more towards kids, which they have in the most recent sets. They've added Godzilla, and Mothra, and all the old, you know, into it. So they're aiming at kids a lot more, you know, and I've seen some ideas that they've come up with for some subsets that they're going to go full on towards little kids, like My Little Pony kind of, you know, additions. Yeah, trying to gear towards the kids more, you know, because
That's weird.
it's Hasbro. They're, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll end up doing that, but of course your hardcore guys are going to want to see more Dungeons and Dragons like kind of things in there, you know.
Okay, so throwing a curveball. This has nothing to do with Magic at all. But me and Bradley here have been arguing about T Swift, and that's not really what I want to argue about. You already
Taylor
know.
Swift?
Yeah, T Swift.
Yeah.
You already know how I feel about T Swift, Rob. You know that,
yeah.
that I'm into it. I've gotten a lot of hate from a lot of people over that. But
Oh my God.
But my main, this is, it's going to be a little bit to explain this, but my main argument is that her 1989 album had like nothing but singles on it. The whole album is just single after single after single. You've heard, I guarantee most people have heard every song on that album, and they're just, you know, just in the background at a bar or something like that. You've heard every song on that album. They're all bangers. There's at least 13 singles on that album, like very popular songs. And so my argument is you got to give her a lot of credit for that, and then you have to give the album a lot of credit in itself, because throughout history, very few bands have been able to accomplish that. on 99.9% of the time, you get one single. And then, you know, what I'm asking is, what are the greatest 5 albums of all time, any genre ever? And it can be for different reasons. That's what I'm saying.
And you're putting her up there.
I'm saying she has it because she has only singles, and I don't think any other band, any other performer has ever done that. You know, there's like, we thought maybe Thriller. Like, do you think that's comparable in there? Do you think that makes the top 5? And so I'm not saying only that. I'm saying any album for any reason. Because, okay, here's my list. It goes Green Day, American Idiot. It goes Abbey Road, The Beatles. I'm going to steal Thriller because I do. You have to throw MJ in there. Then T-Swift, 1989.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Ooh,
And Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Yep.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Eric. That when I was saying like it's a cohesive album like Dark Side of the Moon or American Idiot, that's harder to do and fill it with singles than when her just filling it with singles that you can just pick and choose out. It doesn't flow through the whole album.
I think they're equally hard to do. Yes, I'm saying that is super badass that they did that, but then it is also name someone else that's done all singles, because no one else does it. Because if you could do that, then where are all the other people doing it? If you could write an album of fucking singles, you'd be fucking Taylor Swift money. Because no one can. It's super hard to write.
She actually writes her own music too, doesn't she?
Yeah, I'm kind of talking out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure she does.
No, I've heard she does, but I'm sure she has help, just like everybody has help.
So what do you think? And then what are your top 5 albums?
Jeez, I don't know. I can't just choose that right now off the top of my head. I'd have to really
anything?
Think about
Can you throw anything?
Either.
Can you argue my top 5? Do you think those are the top 5, or do you think I'm?
I'll tell you, I don't know that I could put it up at that same level, but like Van Halen's first album was right up there.
Yeah, Jump.
Every fucking song. No, that's not their first.
Or no,
with Eruption and You Really Got Me and all those. Every one of those songs got radio play years ago. It's not really holding up today. Not like Dark Side of the Moon or Abbey Road. Right. But at the time, every song on there was a hit.
Yeah. Okay. I like that one. Do you think? Yeah. Any other? And what's your favorite album of all time?
Yeah, that's impossible to.
Nothing.
Just say one.
Yeah, I can't either.
I can't. Think of just one.
Well, go through a few bands. Like, what about you're super into Rush? Does Rush have an album that you think is worthy? Fucking. Do you think Metallica has an album that's worthy? Do you think,
Master of Puppets was close, but it's not like it got airplay and it had #1 hit after.
But I'm not saying that it doesn't have to be that. That's what I'm saying. But you could argue, to me, Dark Side of the Moon has no singles on it except for Money, and I think it's kind of bullshit. I've been saying that forever. That I don't think Money matches the album at all. It really doesn't.
It is a weird one, isn't it?
If you close your eyes and listen to the album, it's as if they wrote that separately, wrote the album, and then they're like, we need a single. And then they grabbed that single and threw it in there just to hype up the album a little bit.
It is an awful one for that album. I know what you mean.
People always say Led Zeppelin 4. So I think we should put that
too. Yeah,
because
that's another
looking
one.
Looking at the track list, it's only 8 tracks, but that's one of them too.
Can you name? Do you have the tracks in front of you? What is Zeppelin 4? I can't remember.
8 of them.
What are the
Black Dog, Rock and Roll, The Battle of Evermore, Stairway to Heaven, Misty Mountain Hop, 4 Sticks, Going to California, and When the Levee Breaks.
Those are some bangers.
8 tracks.
Those are some bangers. It is kind of bullshit that it's 8 tracks. How many tracks is Dark Side of the Moon? That's 11 tracks. It's pretty.
And I
small,
looked at the
isn't it?
track list for that first Van Halen album, and that was a really good pick.
Yeah,
Can you list those for me real quick?
Yes, I can. Hang on. And I'm not so familiar with all of them, but I'm familiar with some of them. Running with the Devil, Eruption, You Really Got Me, Ain't Talking About Love, I'm the One, Jamie's Crying, Atomic Punk, Feel Your Love Tonight, Little Dreamer, Ice Cream Man, On Fire.
Oh,
which I don't know
Man.
those last few ones, but those first side 1, it says side 1 of the album, Running with the Devil, Eruption, You Really Got Me, Ain't Talking About Love, and I'm the One.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
actually,
a good one too.
fuck. That really hasn't stood the test. Van Halen is a hard one. That album was
Yeah.
insane, but
But yeah, it
to
didn't
me,
stand.
yeah, it hasn't stood the test of time. It is incredibly good.
So Dark Side goes Speak to Me, Breathe, On the Run, Time, Great Gig in the Sky, Money, Us and Them, Any Color You Like, Brain Damage, and Eclipse.
It's incredible.
10.
That album is just bangers. So
Yeah,
good.
that's a good one.
Yeah, it really is. As far as standing the test of time, T Swift, you think that's gonna last?
No.
No. We'll see. We'll see.
No.
I
You
bet.
know, 30 or shit. That's probably 40 years ago that Van Halen album came out.
Yeah.
T Swift, I think that's gonna hold up in 20, 30 years. Who
Nope.
knows? Who knows?
It will not be. It will not
Maybe
be played
not.
at high school, high school
Maybe
dances
not.
and stuff. 10 years from now.
You don't think so? I don't know.
No.
I shouldn't say anything because I don't really know the album. But like you say, I've probably heard every song off of it
Yeah.
100 times. Just to, you know.
Maybe it won't last.
I'll give it to you that it's chock full of hits, you know. But that's a good point. To stand the test of time, I don't know about that. And that's a
Okay.
true statement when it does, you know.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I
Okay.
don't know.
T Swift. Now
Talk to me in 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, rock and roll, buddy. You
Yeah.
got anything you want to throw in?
Not really. I'm just thank you guys for letting me join here.
No?
I'm
you,
sorry
man.
I haven't watched more of your podcasts. I've only seen a couple of them, so
No, you're
so
good, buddy.
archive it and check them out, and hopefully you have me
Well,
on again sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have to talk a little bit more music. We didn't even talk about the band or anything.
No,
We'll do
that's
that
true,
next
true.
time.
Coolio.
Rock and
All right.
roll. Well, you have a good day, man.
You too. We'll see you guys
Bye.
later.
See ya.
And we're back. Yeah, that was my friend Rob.
That was good.
It was good. It was good. Some information on some magic. Some more about this album argument that we've probably beat to death.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Look what you. I'm not super
So
into that.
You're certainly not saying Taylor Swift's better than, like, you know, a great rock band that you like.
No,
right?
not at all.
Okay.
I'm saying.
You know the Josh Ritter, right?
Oh, I love that guy.
See, I would say Josh Ritter is better than Taylor Swift.
I would, as a musician, like if I had a chance to go play with Taylor Swift or go play with Josh Ritter, absolutely I would rather go play with Josh Ritter.
Okay, what if you had to pick one discography on a deserted island?
To listen to for till the end of time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Dude, I don't even.
I'm taking
Well,
Josh
dude-
Ritter every day.
Okay, this is gonna take a little bit of a story. It's funny you say that. It just triggered something that happened to me in my childhood. So when I was
Okay.
when I was 18, when I lived in the Diagonal House, there was a guy. Fuck, what was that dude's name? Anyways, this guy that lived at the Diagonal House, he got me a job. I didn't really know how to do construction yet. It was like one of my first construction jobs I'd ever had. I was green as green could be. I even think I barely knew how to run a skill saw yet. Fucking, so what it was is he had a job with this dude who was remodeling his house, this older retired cop in Sandpoint who was remodeling his house, and he just paid me and this dude to come out and help him remodel because he was pretty old. He was like 60. And it was a sweet gig. I mean, it wasn't very much money, but I didn't need much money to live anyways, but he'd pay cash at the end of each day. And he'd pick us up at our house, take us to breakfast. Usually it's McDonald's. We'd go to McDonald's, get breakfast every morning, and then we'd go to work, and then he'd take us to lunch. And there was a spot out on 95, some awesome little cafe that we'd go to every day for lunch. He'd buy lunch, and then at the end of the day, he would pay cash. Right out. It was great. It was such a cool little gig. But he controlled the radio every day. Like that, you couldn't argue. It was what he wanted to listen to every day. And I'm not shitting you. For 3 months of that summer, every single fucking day, we listened to one album and one album only. And it was the greatest hits of Fleetwood Mac, which I love Fleetwood Mac. But when you listen to one album every day, you want to shoot yourself. Now I hate Fleetwood Mac. Now I can't listen to the music without it just taking me back to that time, and I want to blow my brains out. It's when I hear The Chain come on or whatever that song is, I just like it takes me right back, and I've heard it enough times in my life that I could never listen to Fleetwood Mac ever again, and I'd be happy. So I think it doesn't matter the caliber of the music. There is no music you could listen to for the end of time.
But it's like a hypothetical. It's like the last meal before your execution. You could say, well, if you had to eat that every day, you'd hate it. Yeah, but what would you pick?
I'm not
asking
know.
about the food, but just look. I'm taking Josh Ritter over Taylor Swift on fucking dessert.
I can't believe you're so into Josh Ritter. That really surprised me. I'm not saying he's bad at all. He did a song, Fighting Fire with Arrows or something like that. Oh my God, I loved that song. I listened to it all the time. It was one of my favorite songs. I don't know if that's actually.
Josh Ritter,
I don't know if that's
fucking shitload.
He's really underrated. I don't know if you are super into him just because he's from Idaho. Maybe he gets more exposure there than he does other places.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. Just some of his early albums. It's just I have a playlist. I've had a playlist for like 10 years now of just a couple of those early albums all put together.
So you're saying one album or one musician?
Discography.
One discography. All their music ever? It would be the Beatles would be, right off the bat, I'd have to say maybe the Beatles. But then I would argue someone that's just put out a grip of music. So
The Beatles.
The Beatles would be a good one because you wouldn't want to get stuck with a discography of only, 40 songs. You know, it'd need to be someone like Tom Petty or AC/DC, someone that's put out so much music that you could listen to it for a few days and not hit a repeat.
Right.
If it was the rest of my life, I would probably go, and I don't have much knowledge on it, but I would probably go down into classical music. That is probably the path that I think I could listen to, because it would keep me entertained. I would probably be, and I don't know, I couldn't tell you an artist, Bach or something like that. And I don't know much about him, but I can listen to. I think that would last the longest before I'd get sick of it. But I think there's nothing that you wouldn't get sick of. Like Zeppelin I have 2 Zeppelin tattoos. I used to be so into Zeppelin, but I almost burn out on them. Like that's all I listened to for so long that now I'm kind of sick of it. I love Zeppelin, but if I hear, Dire Maker one more time, I just can't do it. I just can't.
I hear you.
Can't do it.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know what it would be. That's
either.
a really hard one. I'm going to have to probably say I'm going to hang my hat on classical music. It'd be Bach or Mozart or Beethoven or something like that.
It wouldn't be Taylor Swift.
No, it would not be. That would drive me nuts. But Pink Floyd would drive me nuts. Zeppelin would drive me nuts.
Sure.
Modest Mouse would drive me nuts. Same thing with Modest Mouse. I have a bunch of Modest Mouse tattoos. Super into Modest Mouse. I've over-listened to them. Now I don't listen to them anymore because it's just I've heard every song. I know every lyric of every song.
I think the Beatles is actually a good pick for me since they have so many albums and music and they go through so many different phases. It's like, you know.
It
sounds like a different band each phase almost.
It'd be the Beatles. I wish the Eagles had put a little bit more music out because the Eagles would be high up there for me. I love the Eagles. I've listened to them a lot, and I'm still not sick of the Eagles. I love the Eagles.
That's very true. So I watched some movies. Oh my god.
Okay.
And so just 3 things that I watched. Okay, hang on. Before we get to that, Kayla, our listener Kayla, is slowly developing a drinking game for our show, and so far the two things she has for when you should drink both revolve around you. You have to drink every time Eric says boom and every time he says bananas. So that's as far as we've made it so far. Apparently, I know he says boom a lot. I wasn't aware really of the bananas, but now I'm very
Oh
aware.
my God, I do say
So-
bananas a lot.
So
I say
you have to,
boom a lot.
yeah, you have to drink when he says boom or bananas, and then I told her I think I say crazy a lot, but maybe I'm just fucking crazy. I don't know. I think I say it a lot, so maybe that could be one too, but the game is just in development.
Awesome. I hope you continue with that. That's
Yeah.
bananas.
I was like, well, let's get these written down so that we can continue.
If you
Okay,
have
so-
any suggestions,
Yeah.
email them to us. Email them to us. Comment on
Yeah.
fucking iTunes or whatever. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and email about Taylor Swift too. Please. Please.
Oh man, I'm sure
this'll
I'm
be-
going to hear about that.
It'll be an ongoing conversation. Okay, so I watched a few movies that really, all three of them really, like, I'm finding it hard to distinguish between real life and fantasy world. I'm drifting into, I don't know what's real anymore. Okay, first of all, The Beach, which Eric brought up on the show, which he described as a cool Brad Pitt movie. The Beach. Okay, first of all, Brad Pitt's not in that movie. It's a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. And
Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm an asshole.
it was so I was immediately like, wait, what? And okay, that movie, it was really bad, but interesting as well.
It's been
so
okay. First off, it's been a hot minute since I've seen that movie. So sorry.
right. Well, it came out in 2000, right after Titanic.
I was a kid when I saw it. I was definitely in school when I saw that movie.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Was it really bad?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
it was just these American kids go and find a secret island on Thailand and find like a small village of people living out there. And, they fish and fight sharks and shit. But I'm like, okay, it applied to what I was bringing when I was saying we should go off the grid and start a little village. It was it applied to the conversation, right?
Yeah.
It gave me some ideas, too. I'm like, okay, this looks like a kind of better than my idea. And then I watched this movie called The Believer, which is really nuts. It's with Ryan Gosling, and he's like this crazy Nazi guy, but you find out like 20 minutes into the movie he's actually Jewish, and he's just like a self-hating Jew who hates Jewish people, and so he's like a Nazi, but he's actually Jewish, and he like goes and hangs out with his Jewish family, and then he goes and preaches, because he's actually kind of like a mid-level Nazi, so he's like giving these crazy kill the Jews speeches and stuff like that, but he's just very self-hating. That movie was nuts. And then, so I'm like completely off. I'm like trying to figure out, like, am I watching movies about riots and viruses in the United States, and then I'm living this on the beach in Thailand? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And then I fucking watch that, whatever the fuck it's called, that fucking documentary that's called Majestic Down Under, or whatever the fuck it's called. And that one is like, first of all, I was barely paying attention because it was so retarded. Like, talking about more Nazi stuff. Like, I feel like I'm living in a world of Nazis, and it's like, I don't know. And I mean, it's like, Nazis burrowing down into Antarctica and starting bases and doing cloning, and I'm like barely paying attention because I'm like, this shouldn't even be on Hulu. It shouldn't be allowed to be on Hulu. I feel like we need more censorship in this country. And then they started talking about the galactic slave trade, and that's when I like looked up from my phone and I was like, what? And they're like, okay, galactic slave trade. I only watched like 3/4 of the movie, where they come and kidnap 16-year-olds. Oh wait, that's a different thing. Okay, so the military comes and kidnaps 16-year-olds on this planet, takes them to the base on the moon, and makes them participate in like galactic warfare or something like that. But then there's galactic slave trade, where aliens swoop down and just pick someone up and take them away to either utilize their skills or use them for food. And I was like, okay, that kind of is starting to make sense to me because of the whole Moore Murray thing. I'm like, galactic slave trade kind of seems like it could be a real thing where you just come and, you know, pick who you want and take them away for... I don't know. Anyway, I only watched like 3/4 of that, but I need to switch over this week to a show based in reality. Maybe like, I don't know, Cops or something.
You didn't find that movie like funny? I found it hilarious. Like,
I was like, are these people playing a prank on me right now?
No, they believe. You can tell they are fully TikToked. They fully believe what they are saying.
Well, that shouldn't be allowed to be on Hulu because it's dangerous.
It is, but do you not give them any credit for, like, the creativeness in their mass conspiracy? How it all kind of ties in together under one conspiracy?
I didn't finish it, and I'm not gonna finish it. But they were like kind of use real things because they use footage from like the day before 9/11 where Donald Rumsfeld is testifying or whatever. He's like, yeah, the Pentagon lost like $2.3 billion. Like the day before 9/11, he's saying that. And then 9/11 happens, and then they say, yeah, because they were using it to build moon bases and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, so you're just using things that are real and saying that they connect to the things that aren't real. But then I'm like, wait, what is actually real? What the hell's going on here? I don't know.
I just thought... Something smells weird.
What's it smell like?
Like there could possibly be a fire?
Oh, whoa.
Huh. I don't know what's going on. I don't see smoke anyway.
Oh, my God.
Okay, continue.
No, I'm done. I need to watch something based in reality so I can figure out what the fuck's going on. It's all too crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it so funny. I don't know. Sometimes I get really irritated with conspiracy theories most of the time. For some reason that night, I just found it comical. It was just hilarious to me. And then what was really funny to me is all the people they brought on as guests, or like the guys, like, you know how like it'll say their credentials down at the bottom?
Yeah.
All the credentials were so ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
nothing real. It was like just... It was like, you know, like in school and they taught you to like, no, you don't say you're a janitor. You know, you say you're a fucking whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah specialist, a fucking...
Yeah, facilities, whatever.
Yeah, that's like what it was, all their credentials to me. Was just like, how can we make it sound better than I'm a fucking idiot that, you know, works at Taco Bell?
Yeah, I even had that thought when I was reading some guy's credentials, but then I forgot what exactly it was.
Yeah, I'm forgetting exactly...
Classified scientist or some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's ridiculous. I think we need more censorship in this country and more regulations and more laws.
I totes disagree with you 100%. I think you're baiting me into an argument right there. I totes disagree. I love the freedom. Fucking I hate their ideas, but I kind of like that they're out there. I like that there's at least some people, even though it's ridiculous, like challenging. I'm glad that shit's out there. I mean, I do get the argument of like misinformation, but I also don't. I'm really against censorship. I don't know why that really stands strong with me. I think it's very dangerous to censor any, because if like Facebook or Twitter censors someone, well, who the fuck makes them the arbiters of like what is right and wrong? And I think that's what's happening a lot in this country that I'm really angry about, is people feel morally correct. Like they think they're morally right, and then so they think that they can censor people on their ideas. And I think that's really dangerous to do. I don't think it's on the level of like Nazis, but I mean, you got to, in history, this has happened before, and I think it's a really dangerous thing when you start censoring ideas. No. Even though I'm not trying to stick up for like flat earthers, because that is ridiculous, but I think it is dangerous when you start that. It should be free across the board. And I do get the argument of like saturating now there's just bullshit everywhere. Well, I think then that should go more to say with, then you should be going to news organizations, and then I think more of the argument should be on they should be held liable. You know what I mean? Like, if you're claiming to be this big, Fox, CNN, any of that shit, you should be held to really high standards. If you're just on the internet putting a YouTube video up, you shouldn't be censored on that. Even like racist shit. I don't think racist shit should be censored at all. Even though I disagree with it, I think that you need to be able to see what it really is. You need to be able to hear their ideas and not to be like swayed, but you need to know what it really looks like. You know what I mean? Because if all that shit gets taken off 100%, then the only person you get to listen to on when they say, well, this is racist, well, just believe me. No, you can't look at it. We're going to take that video down. You just need to believe me that shit's wrong. I don't like that. I think people should be able to make their own mind up. And it is getting harder, with... Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of going on a rant, but...
Yeah, I don't know. It's like if you don't subscribe to a religion and you're in charge of the fucking news or internet, you can't just say, okay, all the religious talk is now censored. And vice versa. But I don't know about racist stuff, because a lot of it, you can't have like a call to arms on there.
Yeah,
call to action.
Okay, I'm not saying, like... Yes, that is fucked up, and that could be taken out of context. But where's the line? And that's it for me. Is where's the line? And I don't like people drawing that line. And let's say, okay, well, racist shit is the line. I think it's more dangerous to start drawing lines than having no line at all. And just saying it's all free game. It's all free game, and it's up to you and your parents to teach you, the skills to be able to fucking... know what clickbait is, know what dangerous ideas are. And there are dangerous ideas, and I do get that, but I also think that no one has the right to be the moral fucking compass for the country or the world. I don't like that at all.
That's a very good point. And it's like say there's no lines at all. I feel like the lines start happening because of parents wanting to protect their children and basically wanting the government to parent. So it's like all those, parental advisory stickers on CDs and stuff like that, and just censorship in general is just parents wanting the government to now parent. And then you get all the way to, you can't smoke within 25 feet of this building, or we got to limit the amount of sugar that's in drinks, or we got to limit the amount of salt that's in these foods. And it's like the parents don't want a parent. They want the government to be the parent.
Yeah,
that happens over and over. Whenever you hear a push for we can't let baseball players chewing tobacco in the games and stuff like that, it's always parents being like, this is going to affect the children. It's like, why is the world meant for children? Like, kids couldn't even go to baseball games back in the day. They were always watching them through like a hole in the fence. It used to be just men in suits drinking beers, smoking cigars, and it was an adult thing.
So.
Now it's
funny. We started watching with the little girl. We had like a little family home evening type thing the other day, and we watched. We put on Back to the Future 2, and it's rated PG. And it's been a while since I've watched Back to the Futures, but I'm like, this is good family. This entertains everybody in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch what the little one wants to watch because it drives me nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't do the little kid shows. But we need to find something, right in the middle of all of us that we can all agree on. It can all be entertaining.
Yeah.
Dude, Back to the Future, PG, back in the 90s, is not PG at all. They are dropping, they didn't drop fuck. They didn't drop that, but they dropped everything else. Shit, bitch, fucking constantly. Like, we were watching Back to the Future 2, and there's a scene in it when Biff is super rich in this movie because he got the sports almanac from the past or the future. So now he's betting on all the sports events, and he has a book that tells him all the outcomes. So the bad guy Biff fucking blah blah blah. There's a scene where the new Marty McFly, the real Marty McFly, the one that's time traveling, like goes to the tower and has this like interaction with all the goons and with Biff. And dude, it's not violent, but they are saying, dude, in a 30-second block, there is 15 to 20 cuss words. Right. I couldn't believe it. Like, I'm just looking at the little one, and me and the girl looking at each other like, this is PG. And like, I was like, dude, they have obviously changed the standards for PG crazy amounts from when I was a kid to now. Now it's very softened. I don't know. And I kind of tying back into it. I don't think that's I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think that that's as dangerous as we're letting it off to be. Like sheltering your kids from curse words and stuff like that. Like, what's the point? They're going to hear it. You just make them know that that's not all right to say. You know what I mean? That's not how, I don't know. I don't know.
Parents just want to pass the buck sometimes. Who knows?
Who knows? Do you believe in, let me see if I can say this word, magnetoreception? So I had to look up how you say that word when I was reading it. I was reading it wrong, and I'm glad I looked up how to say that word. Magnetoreception. Do you have any guess on what that means? Magnetoreception.
Is it something with your brain receiving signals?
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. Signals sent by magnets.
You're getting real close. Real close. It's a think about it. You're almost there. Now I kind of want to know if you can get that.
Your body receiving signals from magnets?
Magnets
healing things?
Think more worldwide with magnets.
I don't know. Transferring things.
Magnetoreception is the sense. Man, I should have looked up the real definition of it. But what it is animals or bacteria or anything that can sense true north. You know what I mean? Like they can sense north, and there's been a lot of studies here and there about can humans do it? Fucking certain animals that can do it, and we know like certain birds and shit like that have, obviously geese know north and south.
Right.
Do you believe humans have the ability to sense north? Do you think you can sense north?
No.
No. Are you bad at that, or do you just think it's impossible to do? Have you met people?
I'm fucking bad at it.
Have you met people that can do it?
I've met people that can obviously do it better than me.
Because
here's the thing, out here, it's flat. So back in the day, when you would travel like across north, when I had a job where you would travel instead of just go to the same places every day, you would travel into unknown territories that you'd never been before. You're in an unknown territory where you've never been before, and it's a flat field with dirt roads that go in straight lines like this. And you basically just have to, and I'm with people that just know, this is east, this is south, even when we get spun around and shit like that. So it's kind of impressive. But for me, I'm fucking lost. I don't know what way's north.
So I've argued with a few people. So I've always thought that, I'm really good at it, and I've always thought that I've wondered if it's just. So what I read, I should have I didn't know how much I wanted to prepare for this topic, and I eventually just gave up and said we'll just wing it and just talk about it. But I've asked multiple people this, especially in construction, because when you're doing blueprints in construction, it's used all the time, and when you go up to someone and you're like, hey, when you're talking about something, it's one of the first descriptive things trying to describe something to someone. So you're just like, hey, on the north end of this building, or whatever, face north, look at the eastern wall, and then to your left there'll be, that's how you would describe that. And I've talked to there was one job in particular. There's this kid I know, Kevin, who at one point I hope he comes on the podcast. I don't know if he'll do it or not. He's my fishing buddy here. He's a fucking freak with fishing. I've never met anybody in my life that does more fishing than him or is that embedded into it. But he swears he can do it. He's like, no, and I think I can do it. Because one day we had a huge argument at work. I was like, go to the eastern side of this. And my boss and this other kid are like, that's the northern side. And I'm like, no, that's the eastern side of the building. And for some reason, I had gotten all turned around, and I was wrong. And we pulled the compass out. We were arguing so much about it. I was like, let's get and he was like, anybody have a compass? And kid's like, I got one in my car. And so we went out and got a compass. I was wrong. And then I was blown away. I was like, no, this isn't right. I would have bet $1 million that I'm pointing in a direction. That way is north. Like, what are we talking about right now? So I dug into it a little bit, and pretty much there hasn't been a grip of studies done on it, but there's been a few. They did one study. Man, I should have wrote all this down. They did a study in England, at like the University of London or something like that, where they took a group of kids, like I think it was like 50 people. They took 25 of them, they split them in half, and they strapped headgear on all of them. And and then they didn't tell them what was in the headgear. All the kids knew what the study was, but they didn't know what was getting put on their head. And half the people got magnets put on their head, and the other people got like just a piece of metal or something like that. And then they took half the group out, or maybe they took the whole. I think they took the whole group out, drove them out, and then like blindfolded them, blah blah blah, and then dropped them off, took the blindfolds off, and were like, which way to get back to the college, and the numbers were just scattered. And they've done other tests to where they take a group of people, they stick them in a completely black room, no light, no nothing, and then they spin them around and shit, and then which way is north. And pretty much all the studies that have been done show that humans aren't capable of it. Like, yeah. And so what it suggests is it isn't that we can sense north, it's that some people are just hyper aware of their surroundings. So, and with me, I believe that's what I'm really good with roads. That's how I always do it. I know if a road runs east or west or north or south, and then I always know where I am in relation to that road. You know what I mean? Like, and then sometimes, like the job I'm talking about where I got all fucked up is the road did a weird little, if you looked at it on a map, I didn't realize it, but it did. It went south for a minute and then went back west. And so I looked at the road. I'm like, no, the road's right there. That was, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I don't know why.
So you think you can do it if you're in a dark room?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The studies that have been done on it and what I've read on it is no human is capable of doing it. Like it's not, we don't have it. There is, it's sense. It's a fun thing to Wikipedia. And it's also a crazy thing to Wikipedia because the words that'll start coming out is just banana. You can't pronounce any of the words. It was really hard for me to read.
That means drink, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
But they think that they're.
I think some people, I guess, just have a better sense of their surroundings.
Yeah, but and that's what they've gotten to. But the whole reading on it, it's a really interesting thing because it's a kind of an unknown. There's just a lot of theories on how all the other animals do it because we obviously see it in nature, in a lot of different things. You know, especially with birds. There's bacteria that line themselves up to north and south and stuff like that. And there's like 4 main theories on how it goes, but they're all really hard to prove. One with animals, because you can't talk to them. You know what I mean? Like you're just with geese, you just know that they're going north and south. You know what I mean? So there's obviously something there, and it probably has to do with the magnetic north.
Yeah. Birds are the big one. I wonder if you could like strap something to a bird's head and like let him go fly and then see what kind of like if there's like receptors activating or something like that.
Well, no, so one of the man, I should have dug into this more before I brought it up. Like, but one of the theories is blue light. There's something. One of the theories is blue light, and some birds, like for some reason, when you look north and look south, there's like. We don't pick it up in our eyes, and they have this like certain metal in their eyes that they see this like blue haze to the north. So that's how they think that they're telling the difference. But then there's other ways. And most of it's in the eyes. Most of it they think is all in the eyes. The attraction to north.
Dude. That's weird. I guess it makes sense that humans can't do it, but animals are pretty impressive.
There's the argument, can dogs do it? There's like a study done where they look at like 100 dogs taking a pee, and there's a massive amount of dogs when they're peeing face north south, like a high percentage of them, and they wonder why that, and just things like that kind of just, and they don't know how. And there's all these different animals like that. There's all these different cases, and I don't know. For me, it was fun to dig into a little bit, and from what I gathered by the end of it was it's kind of an under-researched subject that you think would be more researched, and one that's kind of baffling. Like, there's just a lot of instances where it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, we're not exactly sure why animals or bacteria are reacting the way they do.
Right. Yeah, that's wild stuff. That's fascinating, though.
Boom. I would assume, given, Vince and Sawyer and them, I bet you some of these people listening to this will argue that they actually know North and South. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that claim that they know North. Like, they can just feel it out in the woods. You can feel it. But really,
I mean,
what science is saying is
wouldn't you assume, like, Native Americans have a better sense of direction? Or is that racist? I don't know.
No, I mean, no. I don't think anybody can do it. I think it's just some people, and there's, like, cultures. There's, like, when I was reading, there's, like, cultures that are, like, they reward people who are really good at, like, man, I didn't write any of this down. Like some New Zealand tribes and stuff like that. Like if you're really good at it, you're highly looked at in the tribe. If you can, if you always know your sense of direction.
Right. That makes sense.
But I mean, and then there's different ways to do it. It's not just like I do it with the roads and stuff. I mean, I've never tried to do, it'd be fun. It'd be a cool hobby to get into is doing it off stars. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've always been really fascinated and interested in people, and then especially in the times, I've always thought it was really cool when, like, they're sailing across the seas. Like, how crazy is that they sailed across the seas with, and just used the stars to navigate? Yeah. It's nutty because the Earth moves, you know what I mean? So we're not seeing the same, you know what I mean? It's not in the same spot. You know what I mean? Over the night, the stars move across the sky, or we're moving in relation to the stars as we, one as we're going around the sun, and one as we're turning.
Well, it's like the only thing I have to bring up with that is I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson being on Joe Rogan saying that the one big thing he hated about the movie Titanic is when she's laying on the raft and it shows the shot of the stars that she's looking at, he knew that those were the wrong stars. And he brought that up, and then when James Cameron
where she was in the northern hemisphere or whatever like that.
Yeah, and then when James Cameron released the 20th anniversary or whatever of the movie, he changed the shot to show the right stars that they were supposed to be looking
Really?
at.
I don't remember that.
That seems to me like the stars don't move. I don't know.
The stars don't move. They are suns out.
Oh, right.
They don't move. We move.
We move.
The Earth is spinning. So when you look up at the sky, you're not seeing, like, the northern hemisphere is always different than the southern hemisphere. You're seeing, you know what I mean? You're looking that way, they're looking this way. You know what I mean? And, like, as the night goes on, the Earth is moving. You know what I mean?
Right.
Turning. It's a day. You know what I mean? We do a circle.
Right. I see.
I don't know. I'm not like a professional at it. I get the basic idea of how we're moving in relation to the sun and then in our galaxy and the other stars. But you know what I mean? I would feel like if you're good at that, if you know how to navigate with the stars, there has to be you have to be doing some kind of something with time because the northern star is going to somewhat fluctuate over the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be spinning. So you would have to account for that, knowing which way you're going. Because then you could start steering 5 degrees out or 10 degrees out of where you want to be going.
I would be the worst fucking traveler in the old days.
Doesn't it blow you away? Do you think we're all just dumber? Like, across the board? Like, these people were doing crazy stuff 300 years ago. I don't even know
how to get to Applebee's if I can't fucking Google it. I'll be lost as hell. I get so lost. Like, so that's impressive.
I mean, the amount of conversations I've had just in, like, astrology stuff, I'm not saying I'm some professional at it, but I get the basics of how we're spinning in a day versus a year, you know what I mean, around the sun. And I've talked to multiple people that do not understand that, and it blows me away. One of my old roommates we were arguing about the moon revolving around us and then us revolving around the sun or something like that. And he just didn't get that. He's like, wait. what? Like, I'm like, what do you think a day? I think we were arguing what a day is. I was like, what do you think a day is? You know what I mean? It's one revolution around ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, we spin once.
Yeah.
That's a day. And he didn't get that. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, this is the world we live in.
You're twisting my mind, even though I know what you're talking about. My mind's just been fucked all week. I know. Sun rises in the west, sets in the east. I get it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Boom. Dude, so the dog thing, a few updates. I got accepted. I'll start with I got accepted my badge. I got accepted for the badge, so the FBI thing is done. So, that's good for the airport.
Oh, good.
Don't you remember we were talking about that, I think, last week? Yes.
Yeah.
Boom.
You're back on days now?
I'm back on days. Everything's so much better. So much better. I'm in a poop plant right now, so that's kind of lame, but I would rather be in poop than working on the side of a bridge 9 times out of 10. Or 10 times out of 10. That's way better. The poop does not bother me. So that's one thing. Got that. The dog, a little, catch up on the dog.
Yeah.
So we found out where we live that, we started looking, okay, we got to hit the place up and tell them we're getting a dog. I don't own a house. So, they want, their rule is, so we already have a cat, so we're paying $25 a month or whatever to have this cat, and then so we figured it's going to be another $25 for this dog. And we've already put the deposit down on the dog. We're getting the dog.
Right.
They want, if you get a dog that's under 6 months old, automatically up front before you can get the dog, you have to pay to have the whole place recarpeted when you move out, which is $1,925.
What?
Is that not ridiculous?
That's not like a refundable deposit. You're
Nope,
just
that's-
whether
you're
there's
paying-
a mess
Yep.
or not.
Yep. Isn't that ridiculous?
I've never heard of that before.
I'm very upset about it. Is that not ridiculous? They're
crazy.
bastards. They're bastards.
Oh
That is
my
such a
God.
bastard move.
I mean, I'm sure you signed something that had that in it.
We went through the whole. They're obviously rigged the whole lease agreement, especially in a big place. There's no bullshit, and you know what I mean. They're covering their ass on everything.
Yeah.
And you'll do an addendum when you do it, but there is a section for pets, and the way they word all that, there's no argument there. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no argument with what they're doing. And
Jesus.
I know. I'm so sick of not owning a house, dude. I'm close to it. I'm close to it. I screwed up my credit a little bit, and that's what's holding me back right now. I can't wait to own a house.
You got the 19 hundo. Come on.
I mean,
you got it. I know you got it.
I don't have that kind of money. I mean, that's so much money, dude. That's so much money.
That's fucking insane. That's crazy. I've heard things like, oh, it's an extra. They tack on even an extra month, like you said with the cat. They tack on an extra $500 deposit, but it's refundable. I guess sometimes they say non-refundable, but when you have to pay to just redo the whole carpet, no matter if there's a mess or not, no matter what, it should be a refundable thing. That's what it should be. It should give us $1,900, and if the carpet's fucked, you don't get it back. And if the carpet's fine, you get it back.
And what's even more BS about it is this isn't this is probably the worst place I've lived in years. I would have expected that out of my last place. It was way nicer. Yeah. Everything was brand new. This is not that way. This is this is not nice, at all. We just jumped down into ghetto type stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not happy with where I'm at. We just did it to save some money for a year. You know what I mean? And so then it's just are you kidding me? That's what you're going to do when the cabinets are disgusting. You know what I mean? They're 20 years old. You know what I mean? Okay, wow, you put in a cheap stove and a cheap microwave and a new fridge. Cool. whatever. The rest of the house is garbage,
Right.
and it is new carpet. But I mean, this house is not nice. You know what I mean?
Like if
it's
you
all
if you
based.
owned that house, your mortgage would be far less.
No, mortgage would definitely be more, hands
Oh,
down.
way more. Oh yeah.
Oregon, it's really hard to. I mean, it's really hard to find a place here for
Yeah.
under. You're looking at under. You're gonna spend $300,000 no matter what you get. You know what I mean? That is the cheapest house you're gonna get anywhere around here, unless you move way out, way out.
Right.
You know, an hour and a half out of town, out in the middle of nowhere. A place I lived at like 2 years ago was Marlene Village, the murder house place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That place was all built in the 40s or something like that. Old houses, super
Yeah.
old houses, nasty neighborhood. You know, not whatever. All those houses are going for 300,000, and they are tiny, tiny little 2-bedroom. This I don't remember what the square footage is, but it's really small. I mean, 300 grand.
fucking
Isn't that
insane.
crazy? In Idaho, I've heard it's going up in Idaho though. People I'm talking to back in Sandpoint, they're like, dude, it's not much different anymore here. Like,
Yeah.
which just blows me away.
It used to be in Idaho. It used to be like 160,000, 180, 190. You could get
For an
into
okay house.
a 3-bedroom,
Yeah.
2-bath house with a garage, and now it's like easily 230. Like that's where we're starting at 230 for piles of shit.
Yeah.
It's
This
crazy.
is why Democrats moved to Idaho because it's you can buy a house here, and California's even worse.
Yeah.
A normal household here is $500,000. Just a normal house. I mean, if you want to go live in like a newer subdivision I hate those houses. Just the cookie cutter subdivisions. That's 750,000. And they're not
Yeah, I kind of hate those too.
they're okay houses, but it's like for 750,000 in Sandpoint, you can get a ridiculous house. For that amount of money in Sandpoint, that house in Portland would be $2 million. You know what I mean? Hands down. Like a $2 million house here is not what you think it would be. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not that nice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's nice, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not
So
that
then-
crazy.
My God, it's just ridiculous. I don't know. So then everyone who makes like $35,000 a year is just shoved into apartments
And can barely afford it.
and can
I
barely
mean,
afford it. Yeah.
I make decent money, and I can
Yeah.
hardly afford it. You know what I mean? To
Right.
live in an apartment, like it's hard for me to do. It blows my mind.
It's fucked. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'd love to own a home too, and I've came close. I've got pre-approved twice
Why didn't you do
Like-
it?
because I just couldn't pull the trigger. I even put an offer in on a place once, which is so fucking confusing and complicated, and you're just relying on the realtor to tell you what exactly you're supposed to be doing because they don't teach this shit in schools. They teach you how to do, I don't know, whatever, figure out what names of a triangle is, but they don't teach you how to like put an offer in on a home that you're supposed to buy. But I came pretty close twice and didn't pull the trigger.
You should have.
I
In North
should have on the
Dakota
second
or in
second
Idaho?
time. In Idaho, both times. I should have the
Okay.
second time, but I'll do
Boom.
it again at some point.
I can't wait. I'm so sick of not spending so much. Dude, over the last 10 years, if I look at how much money I've put into other people's equity, it's
Right.
sickening. It's just sickening.
Yeah, it's kind of scary that if the roof falls in though, it's on you. You can't call anybody.
Yeah. See, that doesn't scare me. Like, that almost
Right.
turns me on because it's like there's pretty much nothing in a house that I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that would be the whole point. I can't wait to buy a house just to go, my whole plan is to just go room to room to room, over a longer period of time and just tear that room completely apart, tear the drywall out. You know what I mean? Like, that would be so fun to me.
It's like I hate so much having to call someone to come and work on something inside the house that I just leave shit broken. Because I'm just like, I don't want to deal with people coming in here and working on it and fixing it, so I'm just going to leave it broken.
YouTube videos, bud. You got it.
Yeah, we'll see. You got anything
Boom.
else?
Man,
I like
computers
the
have
music
sold.
talk. What?
Computers are sold out everywhere. That was something I learned last week. Everywhere. Computers are just sold out. Everywhere.
Like in actual stores that you go to?
Mm-hmm. Best Buy, not a single computer inside of it. Went to a place called Fry's Electronics here. Not a single computer inside of it.
Oh, yeah.
Gone.
Fry's. Yeah.
Is
that nationwide?
I don't know. I had never heard about Fry's until I moved here. I thought it was a local thing, but I think it is nationwide.
Just because of the fucking virus shit?
Yeah, because so many people were working from home, they all bought the computers out of the market. You know what I mean? You had probably 50 million people that went out and bought a computer because they wanted to work from home.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've been to a Fry's on the East Coast.
Yeah, I was pretty upset. So I ordered a computer coming for essentially for the podcast. I got it because I'm sick of my computer taking so long to run Adobe Premiere or anything like that. So got the computer coming. That was a little ordeal, just trying to buy a computer. But it should be here in a few days. I have the rape story on here. I don't know if we want to do that or just wrap it up.
Oh, that's up to you, man. That's up to you. I'm fine with it. What's holding up that backdrop?
I bought like a photography stand. You know, I bought the legs with the rod, and then bought the paper, the backdrop paper. I have a white one too. I ordered the gray specifically. I thought the gray was what I wanted.
So you have to like pick it up and move it and put it against the wall when you're done?
No, so it's like a leg on this side and a leg on this side, and then a bar across the top. And the bar across the top is just like a circle with a wing nut and a screw, and then you just undo the wing nut, and then it pops off the leg, and then it's telescoping, so it folds down to about 3 feet, and then the legs fold down to about 3 feet, and there's a little bag it gets put in, so the whole bag is about 3 feet, a diameter of about 6 inches, and then so you put that all away.
And the backdrop stays on it?
So then you roll the backdrop up. It comes in a roll, and then roll it back up, throw a little bit of tape on it, and store it.
Okay. Wow. Jeez.
I'm excited about it. I think it looks great. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think it does too. The story's up to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
Screw it. No, I'm doing it. I don't even care anymore.
The names have been changed.
I'll try. This one's kind of like two stories in one, because two crazy things happened that night. So this was my 21st birthday. I meet up with two buddies, and we decide to go. The plan is to go bar to bar to bar, because they're going to give you a free drink at every bar you go to. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we're in Sandpoint, and at the time I was on a gin and tonic kick. Like, that was my drink at the time. So I drank I drank gin and tonics all night. Well, the first place we go was Roxy's, and their deal was, on your birthday you pick any drink you want, and they'll do it in a giant beer mug, like the giant mugs. So I had a gin and tonic, and I don't know what size it would be, like a 40 ounce, like probably less than a 40, probably a 30 ounce glass. I don't know, a big glass, like gin and tonic, and that was at like 8 o'clock at night. So
what kind of gin do you like?
Tanqueray. Tanqueray is my.
Oh, okay.
But I guarantee that night, I was just drinking well gin. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Hendrix.
Hendrix.
I didn't even think
I didn't. Best. Yeah, I think I usually do Tanqueray. What did I move to? Yeah, whatever. So we start early, and I'm drinking hard alcohol, and I wasn't that much of a drinker at this time. I was a party drinker. I wasn't like a drinker like I am now, to where I enjoy drinking, like every night, like I'll crack a beer. This was just like on a Friday, I'll go get hammered, and the rest of the week I'm not drinking. Right. So it's my birthday, it's my 21st. We just start hitting bar after bar after bar, doing this, all gin and tonics, all night.
Nice.
We end, the idea was to hit all these bars and then end at the 219, which is like the main bar in Sandpoint. And so this would have been 10 years ago. 10 years ago on the dot, 2 days ago. Exactly 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That is fucked.
So we get to the 219. I'm drunk. Like when we start at the 219, it's probably 11 when I get there, and I barely remember being there. I'm very drunk. And like I remember the owner of Trinity came out and he was buying me shots. Like I had a pretty good amount of people that I invited out that came out and bought me shots. And so I'm just shots, gin and tonic and shots all night long. And
it's weird because I think when I was hanging out with you guys that you were 20. That's
yeah,
anyway.
it would have been right after that house that you would have been at. Yeah, I did have a fake ID for a little bit, so, I was going to bars here and there. I had actually gotten, but it was funny that night is like 3 months before that, I had gotten caught at the 219 with the fake ID. And it was like a whole ordeal. So it was funny to go back in and they're just like, it's your 21st, huh? And I'm like, yeah. Side note, this is going to end up being a long story. Side note, the ID thing, I started hanging out with all these kids from Bonners. And like a bunch of kids kept saying, they're like, man, you look just like this kid we went to high school with. So finally, after like a year of people telling me that, I heard it 20, 30 times hanging out with all these kids. And so finally, I'm just like, well, how old is he? And they're like, oh, he's like 22. And I'm like, well, ask him if I can buy his ID off him. And it worked. I never even met him. Someone worked it out, and I bought the ID from the kid. And I didn't think I looked that much like him, but I guess people that didn't know me well would look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that does look like you.
Right. Wow.
So anyways.
Hope there's a statute of limitations that's over with.
So anyways, that night, super drunk. It's a blur at the 219. What I do remember is I went to the bathroom because I had to shit really bad. Like it was an emergency shit. And I hammered. Must have been about 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12. And I go to the bathroom and pass out on the toilet. Like, just pass out taking a shit.
God.
And then also that bathroom was nasty. Like, so nasty.
Yeah. It makes me, like, my stomach feels sick, and I just hate these kind of, anyway. It just brings back shit for me,
So I pass out. So this kid, I'll drop a few names here because I know they won't care. But this kid, Jake Sagan.
I said
whatever.
first names. Yeah.
This kid, Jake, he's not because it's just a small part of the story. This kid, Jake, who was always at the 219. It was his bar. He was quite a few years older than me. He was always, every single night, he was at the 219. He sat right at the corner, right when you walked in. Everyone knew who he was because he was always there. Always sitting there, and he was like good friends with the bartender. They just had this like group of 5 people every night, same spot, every single night. So I think I lived with him at the time, but we were buddy. Yeah, I would have lived him at the time. We're all buddy. I don't know how, but someone obviously like tells him, or he finds out that I'm in the bathroom passed out. Don't really know how long I was in there passed out, but my next memory is him coming in the bathroom and like grabbing me and like putting me on his shoulder and then like lifting me up and like lifting my pants up and like because I'm like out, like I can't even move. But I remember doing that, and I remember I remember like trying like help him, like he's like, dude, you got to help me do this, and it like I'm standing there like naked, you know what I mean, just like and like get the pants up, and then he grabs someone else. I don't know who the other person was. And, like, we got to take Eric home, or we got to take him somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't even walk at this point. And I do remember some part of that trip. I remember Jake's on one shoulder, holding me up. I'm one arm around his shoulder, and then someone else was there. I don't remember who it was, but they have my other arm around their shoulder. And essentially, my feet are just dragging behind me. Like, I can't even walk. And,
oh, man.
Yeah, it was a rough 21st. And they take me to this kid, Eddie's house, and really good buddy. We had just gotten done living together, and he's really good buddies with Jake. Everyone's good friends. He just had the closest house to the bar, and so they took me over there, and we're just like, can Eric just pass out on your couch? You know what I mean? He's hammered, and we can't we want to go back down to the bar. He just needs a place to crash for the night. And Eddie's
Oh
like,
my God.
Eddie's like, yeah, no problem. And there was like some people at this dude's house. It wasn't like a party, but there was like 5 people at the house just like hanging out. So, bam, they just tossed me on the couch. Done. They go back to the bar. He had like 2 living rooms, I think. And so I'm in like a dark living room, like just by myself. No one's there.
Oh my God.
So I'm passed
dude.
out.
I can't even. Yeah.
So I'm on this couch, and then this girl that I had went to high school with, won't say her name because this gets really bad. But this girl comes into the living room and I wake up and she's taking my pants off. And
Okay, so she knows who you are. She knows who you are.
Oh yeah, we a lot of history. We knew each other from the 5th grade on. Like,
Okay, right.
I've known her for a long time. And she starts taking my pants off. And like, I had the spins. I'd like just gotten to sleep. And like I'm in a warm house and I'm laying down. Like, I am not in any mood for anything. I am in a miserable place. And I just remember her laugh. She's just laughing. She's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And I keep saying, I'm like, no, leave me alone. I'm just like, leave me alone, and just keep pushing her off. Just keep pushing back on her, and like her shoulder, I grab her shoulders and just push away from her and be like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. This happened for like 2 minutes, and she's just like, grabbing me and like blah, 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 blah. Obviously nothing's even happening. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting hard for any of this because I'm so far gone and sick. And she's just laughing and laughing and laughing. And then, so that's like one story right there is just like, yeah, it's funny to me that like men can't say that no one takes a guy rape seriously, like at all.
No, they don't.
Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, no one cares. No one cares at all. So, which I don't really care, but I just think it's a funny thing culturally. Like, if that was a woman, if the tables were turned and I was a girl and that was a guy, that guy would be dead right now. You know what I mean? Or he'd be in prison.
Yeah.
Like, that girl, like, whatever. I don't really care, but I just think it's a funny thing with, hashtag me too. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like, okay, I guess the standards don't apply both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we're victims too.
So anyways, that's happening. As this is happening, someone comes, dude, like, I hear all this stuff happening in the house. Like, what is going on right now? So my brother comes bursting into the house. Dude, I am like, what is happening? 2 of my brothers come bursting into the house. Some backstory here is this is my stepbrother. He had just gotten out of prison. He just did 10 years in prison. And he's an Indian dude, and he's a very large Indian person. Very large. And he came in, and, like, he's a biker. He's not a good person. Like, he's not a good person. Like, he is a sketchy dude. And at the time, he just got out of prison, so he was, built, tattoos everywhere. Not a pleasant person. He comes in the house, and he's, like, pushing Eddie back. Eddie, the guy that owned the house. And Eddie is a big dude. Like, Eddie was probably 280, and, like, Eddie is scared. Like, he's just like, what is happening right now? And then my other brother, Dustin, at the time, my brother had liver failure, and now he's, like, way smaller than me. But at the time, he was in really good shape, and he's probably 175, 180, and my height, and jacked. And he's covered in tattoos, bald head. They're both scary-looking guys. And they push in the house, and I am just lost. Like, I'm like, what is happening? Like, one, how are you here? Like, how is this happening? And, like, it's so upsetting that I start sobering up. Like, I'm not, like, the spins stop because I'm just like, what? It's like crazy situations unfolding in front of me. I'm just like, what is happening? And my brother comes in and see that George, my stepbrother, the Indian dude, and he's big, probably 6'3", and 240. I don't know, big guy at the time. He lost a lot of weight when he started doing meth. That's another story. But he comes in, sees this girl like on top of me, like ripping my pants down, and like, okay, so the way it came in, like, I didn't notice them the second he walked in the house, like, because he like sees the struggle happening. He sees me like, get off of me. You know what I mean? He like sees that from a distance and sees me like pushing this girl back. He runs in, grabs this girl by the throat. She's like 110 pounds, and he just chucks her across the room. Just like, get the fuck off my brother. And I just like, I stand up and I freak out. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Because my buddy, Eddie, this guy that owned the house, he's like a really good friend of mine. And he's like shaking. He's like, what is happening? You know what I mean? He thought he's going to die. You know what I mean? He's just like, what? My house just got raided by two dudes I've never met that look like bikers. You know what I mean? Like, he's scared. And like, so I start screaming. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of this house now. You know what I mean? Like, you need to leave. Like, get out. And he's like, well, no, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I'm like, I am not in trouble. It's like, these are all my friends. You need to leave now. I don't know what you're doing here. And I was just screaming at him. Well, as I push them out the house, like, now I'm up. Now I'm like screaming, get out now. And they're like arguing with me, like, are you all right? I'm like, yes, I'm all right. Like, why are you here? I push him out of the house. Well, the two buddies that I had went to the bar with originally are standing outside the house. And like, I just saw them and I'm like, what? And I just close the door, go back in the house, apologize to Eddie. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. It's like, I have no idea how any of this happened. Like, I don't get it.
Right.
So the next day, you know, that all blows over. The next day I'm talking to my brother Dustin and I ask him, I'm like, I want all the details. I'm like, how did you end up at this house? This doesn't make any sense. You didn't know this house. You'd never been there. And he's like, oh, well, your buddy called me, the original person I'd went out drinking with, and said that you were in danger. And said that and he's like, and that we needed to get into town and come save you. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. So I wasn't here for the rest of this story.
Okay?
Yeah, she just got thrown across the room. She was fine. It didn't, he just like, it wasn't that, she didn't like break anything. He just grabbed her, chucked her. You know what I mean? She's just like, what the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
But what had happened? This is where the part of the story. I mean, the girl, if I had said this and released her name, I'm sure that she wouldn't be very happy about this. But whatever, you fucking essentially raped me, so you can go screw yourself. I didn't say your name, but attempted rape. The rest of the story is when it gets a little bit more he said, she said, and really talks negative about some people. So I talked to my brother. I asked him, I'm like, how did all this happen? And he said he got a call from the original two guys I'd went out with, and that I was in danger, which is absolute bullshit. I remember them seeing me leave the bar, and they obviously saw me leave the bar, because how would they have known where I went unless they knew I was going with Jake, and they knew that Jake had said that he was going to take me to this house? Other than that, how did you end up at the house? You obviously knew where I was going. And then why would you call my brothers and say that I was in danger if you knew the house I was going to? Which obviously I'm not in danger. Like, dude, we'd all been there. It's a ridiculous notion. These weren't
even if someone told them, like, hey, we just saw someone carry Eric off into this house, and then they'd be like, what house? And then they'd be like, that one. And they'd be like, oh, okay, he's fine.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a house across the street. It was like 8 blocks away. So it's like they knew when I left the bar where I was going, and if they had any issue with it, why didn't you stop Jake? Like, and Jake, you know what I mean? He's not this like dangerous person. And the person I went to, these are like straight-laced people that like to party a little bit, but they weren't like drug addicts. They were not questionable people at all. It was a very safe situation.
Yeah.
So then what happens? Then my brother tells me, he's like, well, so when we got kicked out of your house, or when you kicked us out, me and George, so my brother and George, the two other guys were like, well, why don't you come back to the bar with us and hang out a little bit? And they're like, okay, well, my brothers were in Priest River, so they drove like a half an hour to get to Sandpoint, and then they're like, well, fuck it, we're here, let's go back to the 219. So they go back to the 219, and then what happens is one of my buddies fucking this is all my brothers. This is what my brother told me. I wasn't there. I didn't see any of this. But he says they all walk into the 219. They're hanging out a little bit. They all get drinks, and it was packed. He said it was like a Friday, Saturday night. It was a busy night, and they get drinks, and then one of my other buddies comes up to him and goes, "Hey, these kids over here in the pool room have been making fun of me all night, and fucking blah 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 blah." And then my brother George, who's fucking crazy, like a biker, he's like, "Oh, well, no friend of my brother, fuck this, let's go fucking deal with it." And so he goes into the pool room and gets in these dudes' faces. And there was like, my brother's stories, he said it was 4 guys. It was 4 guys like in their Letterman's jackets, like Sandpoint Bulldog, or, they were like jockey dudes. And a little bit bigger guys. And then they walk in, and the kid's behind him, and he's just like, "These guys?" And then he's like, "Yeah, these guys." And then so my 2 brothers, George being the main one, the big dude, he grabs this dude, and he's like, "You got a fucking problem with him, you got a fucking problem with me." Pulls out a fucking knife, because that's what he does. He's a fucking biker, you know what I mean? Right. And, like, threatens the kid's life. And then he's just like, and then the 4 dudes are just like, "What the, you know what I mean? What the fuck?" And then, obviously, like, I don't know exactly how that situation played down, but what it really is, it was just like, what a weird move to do all that just to get my brother there. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't in danger. They knew I wasn't in danger. That's what I've gathered from the whole thing. There's a good chance that some of these people might even hear this, and whatever. You want to get mad about it? Fucking get mad about it. I don't care. Like, what other reason? You knew I was safe. What other reason would you have to bring my 2 brothers into this situation than you're trying to use them knowing that they're going to scare the shit out of someone? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's what I've taken out of the whole thing. Like, is that they just manipulated the situation just to get my 2 brothers to the bar, just to like, oh, look who I have behind me. You know what I mean? Like that power play. I don't know.
Fucked up.
That's the rape story.
Kids, don't leave your house. Stay at home. Don't go out. This is what happens. Nothing good happens at fucking 2 in the morning. Doesn't happen.
Nothing good does happen at 2 in the morning. Unless you're getting laid. Sometimes you get laid, and those are good nights.
Right. But then other nights, everything fucking goes to shit real quickly. You wake up, you're on a couch, and people are fucking throwing girls across the room, freaking out, everybody's yelling at each other. And it's all just a manipulation because you were being picked on. Just go to a different bar. I don't know.
Yeah, there's more to that, but I won't even get into it. There's more between the person who called my brothers and the person who got the knife pulled on him. There was like a lot of history there, and that's even more so why I think that played out the way it did.
Jesus Christ! It sounds like your brother needs to calm down.
Well, he's back in prison, so
yeah.
He was only out for like 2 years before he got caught with a bunch of automatic weapons in the back of his car. And, went straight back to prison.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah,
well, I thought the whole rape story was going to include an actual rape, but it didn't. And you were safe the whole time.
I was safe the whole time, but I was raped. I was fucking raped. Like, that is...
No, you were attempted to be raped.
If I did that to a girl, do you think they would call it attempted rape? No, that's fucking rape. Like,
I don't know.
That is fucking rape. Like, absolutely. That is not attempted. That is, you pulled their pants. They were, her hand made contact with my genitals for a long period of time. You know what I mean? More than 1 second. And, just because penis didn't enter vagina, still rape. I mean, I don't really care, but I think it's funny.
Saying. Yeah, it's definitely assault.
And it's fun to say I was raped for some reason. I like telling people that.
Yeah. Well, if the roles would have been reversed, then she would not have been safe. But you were safe, which is interesting.
Yeah. That is true. Like, when a girl rapes a guy, the guy's never really in any danger at all.
Right. Dude, that's craziness. Fuck. I'm glad we finally got to hear it.
We finally got to it. Was it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, and more.
And more.
That was good. Yeah.
You understand why I was kind of nervous about telling that story? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I guess.
I mean, I didn't drop anybody's name, but I mean, like, all those people are still in Sandpoint. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they're all, yeah,
I see what you're saying. Oh,
they
so
wouldn't
some
like,
of them,
they
some of
wouldn't
them
like
could,
that.
Some of them could be hearing new information.
Or it would be, I never confronted the two dudes about it, ever. I never said anything
Right.
about it. And so, like, I could totally see them hearing that and being like, that's not fucking how this fucking happened, blah, 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 blah. But,
Well,
whatever. That's the story I'm sticking with.
that's your side of the story.
And there it is.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. ErickandBradshow@gmail.com. ErickandBradshow@gmail.com. Email us. Get some emails. I want to hear some Taylor Swift emails. I want to hear, I don't remember what the other stuff we asked for was. Stuff like
Signing
that.
on to the iTunes. Give us a fucking comment.
Yeah,
and
do that.
5-star.
Maybe, do you think that you know true north if you were fucking blindfolded and spun around? Tell me which way is north. Could you do
Yeah.
it for $1 million?
What's your top 5 albums? What would you listen to on an island for the rest of your life? Do you think
Yeah.
there is a right answer to that, or every
No.
album ever would be garbage?
No, there's no right answer. It's all, each person has a different answer.
No,
It's a tough one.
it's all love here, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
We'll be
rock
back
and roll.
next week. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to wrap it? We've been going for a long fucking time.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. Yeah, we can wrap it.
Also email if you think you could be a guest, if you have something to talk about, and tell us what you have to talk about.
Boom. And that is ERICK and Bradshow @gmail.com. ErickandBradshow@gmail.com.
Yes, please.
We love you guys. Until next time, try to come up with another story here. Continue the saga.
Hell yeah.
Rock and roll. You guys have a good one. We'll talk at you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
When it's all over, will they remember your name? When your time has come, will you be playing God? Will he be there when you see the light? Or will the light be a light to test the afterlife? But I remember when she looked at me, and I remember the feeling like it was yesterday. The day I made up my mind I would end my life. Living selfishly, thanking your family. Don't let life pass you by, living the life that you don't like. Your gun is calculated in your head, 2 days a day. Don't be afraid. Oh, don't be You got it.